What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we have my fantasy booking for the draft in 2019, and with SmackDown moving over to Fox, it seems that WWE will be enforcing the brand split yet again, and I hope this is the case. This made me think that I can probably do a better job of booking a draft than WWE themselves, and I wanted to share my ideas with all of you. So yes, the fantasy booking returns to the channel today. Show some support by liking this video, and if we get 1,500 likes, I will make a fantasy booking for Summerslam, and I know that like goal isn't happening. So let's jump right into this concept. And first of all, I want to share the championships that will be featured on each brand. Alright, so for the Raw titles, we're going to get rid of the Universal Championship. Although it started to grow on me, I think we need to get rid of it and reintroduce the big gold World Heavyweight Championship. As for the mid-card, we will keep the United States Championship on Raw, and all the cruiserweights will be featured on Raw because they have an extra hour compared to SmackDown, and those guys could help with their high-flying moves. Then, the entire men's tag team division will be going to Raw as well. Now, on the SmackDown titles, you're probably wondering why there wasn't a Raw Women's Championship on Raw. Well, I feel like the women's division is way too small to be separated on each brand, and this is an even bigger problem since they introduced the Women's Tag Team Championships. Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman agreed to Raw having the Cruiserweights and the Men's Tag Team titles, while SmackDown managed to grab the Women's Championship along with the Women's Tag Team titles. Aside from that, they will also have the WWE Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. This means each brand will have a total of 4 titles. I've always wanted this implemented because it would truly differentiate both brands and it would be perfect. Now it's time to move on and have Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff to announce the GMs that they selected. And when I say general managers, I think they should have very small roles compared to previous general managers. I don't want them to be the main focus at all. If you take a look at NXT, William Regal is the perfect example of a GM who is effective and isn't overbooked. Raw announces that Christian will be the GM, while SmackDown has hired Edge, who was the king of that brand in the 2000s. This is going to make for some great segments between the two for the pay-per-views and even social media. They have amazing chemistry, and it could be really entertaining. We're now going to draft commentators because that is an important aspect of the shows. Alright, so for the first pick, we are going to have Michael Cole go to Monday Night Raw because he's been the voice of the companies for the last 20 years. The second pick for SmackDown will be Mauro Ranallo because he's the best and SmackDown has missed him. For the third pick, Raw selects Corey Graves because I think him and Michael Cole have some pretty good chemistry. SmackDown then selects Tom Phillips to pair him up with Mauro Ranallo. And finally, for the last pick, Renee Young is drafted to Raw and SmackDown chooses Byron Saxton. So on Raw, you have the same team as now, which consists of Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Renee Young, while SmackDown has Mauro Ranallo, Tom Phillips, and Byron Saxton. We are now finally moving on to the main draft, and SmackDown will have the first pick. With the first pick, Brock Lesnar is drafted to SmackDown, and the entire crowd is shocked because the World Heavyweight Championship is now moving from Raw to SmackDown Live. Also, Fox reportedly wanted Brock Lesnar to be featured on SmackDown in real life, so I want it to be a little realistic. So, with the second pick, Raw selects the WWE Champion Kofi Kingston, who will be moving the championship to Monday nights. This will also keep the New Day together, and now everyone's going crazy because Eric Bischoff tried screwing over Paul Heyman by taking both world championships. SmackDown selects Shinsuke Nakamura with the third pick to ensure that the IC Championship will come over to Friday nights. They don't want Raw to steal it like how they stole Brock and the World Championship. After that, Raw is basically forced to select AJ Styles to bring the US Championship, and that's not a problem though, because he is phenomenal and will be able to dominate Raw with the club. SmackDown then selects Aleister Black as the number 5th pick. This will make Aleister Black feel super important because of the early draft pick. They clearly have huge future plans for him. The 6th pick from Raw will be none other than Bray Wyatt because he is the best thing about the main roster and they can have him be the biggest thing on Raw. SmackDown needs to counteract with a pretty big pick and they choose Seth freaking Rollins as the number 7 pick in the draft. He could be focused either in the world title picture or the IC Championship. Seth Rollins has never been drafted or traded to SmackDown, and it's time for him to bleed blue. RIP Monday Night Rollins. With the 8th pick in the draft, Raw decides to draft Roman Reigns. Raw needs big names, and Roman Reigns is perfect for that brand to help put over younger talents. SmackDown then selects Daniel Bryan with the number 9 pick in the draft. I think Daniel Bryan is perfect because he has one of the best characters and he's great in the ring, which is what Fox wants. With the 10th pick in the draft, Raw decides to draft Braun Strowman. It's heavily rumored that Paul Heyman has a big push in store for Braun, so he will head over to Monday nights. SmackDown uses the 11th pick to draft Randy Orton because it wouldn't feel like an episode of SmackDown without an RKO out of nowhere. Raw decides to use the number 12th pick to draft Finn Balor, so we can finally create the Balor Club with AJ Styles and the Good Brothers. A feud between the New Day and the Balor Club is something we need to see. After that, Kevin Owens will be the 13th pick of the draft and will be heading over to SmackDown. KO is a perfect fit for the face of SmackDown, especially since he has the stunner and is the definition of an anti-hero. Raw will draft Drew McIntyre with the 14th pick because he has superstardom written all over him. He will be built as one of the top guys and could become a world champion. With the 15th pick in the draft, SmackDown will ultimately draft Rey Mysterio 619 because Fox wants Latino wrestlers to be featured on the show, and also Rey is a great athlete in the ring. Next up is the 16th pick, and Raw will choose the most hated man in WWE, and that is Baron Corbin. Even though I don't like him, he has so much heat and he is the best heel in the company. SmackDown will then choose Cesaro with the 17th pick, and I think he should have a run with the World Heavyweight Championship because he's that good, and he's also really improved on the mic. What are they waiting for? Raw's next pick will be the best high flyer on the main roster and a future superstar for the next decade, Ricochet. This was a sleeper, and Raw took the W here. The next draft pick is the 19th pick, and SmackDown stole Andrade because he is very talented. He is a sleeper pick for SmackDown. With the 20th pick in the draft, Raw is going to select Samoa Joe. In my fantasy booking, Joe will be built like a monster. They did him so dirty on the main roster, and he deserves so much more. SmackDown is going to be drafting Ollie with the 21st pick in the draft. He will have a huge impact on SmackDown and could make for a great mid-card champion, maybe even a world champion underdog. The 22nd pick in the draft will be Bobby Lashley, which means he will be heading over to Monday Night Raw. SmackDown will then select Buddy Murphy with the 23rd pick. This will motivate Buddy to become even better, and I think he could become a world champion in a few years. Imagine him putting up a fight with Brock Lesnar, but coming up short. It could be really good and push him for the future. Think about it when Jeff Hardy had that ladder match with The Undertaker. It really pushed him to another level. Sami Zayn will finally be drafted as the 24th pick in the draft, and this will make him even more bitter because he believes he should have been the first pick in the draft. With the next pick in the draft, SmackDown selects Jeff Hardy even though he's injured. They are going to wait because he will play a big role for the casual fans. The Miz is finally selected, but as the 26th pick in the draft because this will slowly build up a heel turn for him. He realizes that he needs to stop caring about the WWE Universe and they are holding him back, and he was much better before when he was a bad guy. After that, SmackDown will make the draft selection of Cedric Alexander as the 27th pick. Raw will then decide to draft the 24/7 champion R-Truth as the 28th pick. The 29th pick of the draft will be Lars Sullivan, and he is going to be the SmackDown big man and monster of the show. After that, Broken Matt Hardy is the 30th pick, and he's going to Monday Night Raw, and we're introducing the entire Broken Universe, and he will have an extended feud with Bray Wyatt. The 31st pick of the draft will be Apollo Crews, and he has a lot of potential, so hopefully they can do a good job at pushing him. Raw will then draft Elias with the 32nd pick of the draft. SmackDown then selects Rusev with the 33rd pick in the draft. Raw then drafts Dolph Ziggler with the 34th pick in the draft. And with the 35th pick in the draft, SmackDown selects Rowan to pair him up with Daniel Bryan. The next pick will be Raw, and they select EC3, who is going to be trying to revive his career as the 36th pick in the draft. SmackDown will draft Robert Roode as the 37th pick in the draft, and let's just change him back to Bobby Roode and try to get that NXT Bobby Roode back, but on the main roster. And now for the last 5 picks, because I really don't want to go through each of them, I'm just going to say them really quickly. Raw will draft Jinder Mahal, Kalisto, No Way Jose, Sheamus, and Shelton Benjamin. while the last 5 picks of SmackDown is going to be Eric Young, Fandango, Heath Slater, Mojo Rawley, and Sin Cara. Now, since that is over, we have the last thing, and that is that each brand will get 2 draft picks from NXT. These will be wrestlers who are done with NXT and really have been there way too long. SmackDown will draft the Undisputed Era and Shayna Baszler, while Raw gets Johnny Gargano and the Street Profits. And that is how I would book the WWE Draft in 2019. Let me know what you thought about my concept and which roster you think is better, Raw or SmackDown. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Follow me on Twitter at Pllana, and I'll see you all in the next video.